Hey everyone, I'm your average guide Sahil Gogna. Welcome back to another video. So guys, in today's video, we are going to discuss about the blockchain development, the skills you require to get started, and most importantly, the current state of the industry, the Canadian industry for the blockchain developers. To give us all the information, we have a very special guest. He's an entrepreneur, he's a developer, and he's listed among the top 50 most influential Canadians in the blockchain industry. Coming up next is my conversation with Mr. Raghu. So without any delay, let's get started.
Yeah,
Thanks, Raghu, for joining the call today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here and talk about blockchain, Bitcoin, and all everything that's happening in this domain. Thanks a lot for joining.
thank you. Thanks for this warm welcome. And I'm happy to be here because YouTube is gaining traction every day. I've watched your videos and it's very informative and helpful to the students. Glad to be here.
Thanks a lot, Raghu. So, Raghu, before I ask you any questions about your journey as a blockchain developer or your contribution to this community, can you please tell us something about your background, how you came to Canada, anything about you?
Sure. That might become a long story, but given the time considerations, let me keep it short and give a gist of what I've done. I started with me joining an engineering college, like any person from the southern part of India does. I'm from Tamil Nadu, by the way. So I started engineering, completed that in the year 2012, and then joined MBA. So totally unrelated to engineering, and chose finance as well. So during my MBA, that was in BIM Trichy. In there, I also cleared my CFA level 1, FRM level 1, all finance related certifications, right? So eventually, after passing out of this MBA thing, I got into Cognizant and Standard Chartered and Barclays and mark you names in the finance field. I was an investment banker before I became a blockchain developer, ironically.
Oh,
So jobs were good. Like Barclays was amazing, stable job, and they paid me well and whatnot. But I had an idea which I wanted to pursue as a startup. So I had this event-based idea. So I started that in the year 2017. Quit my
mhm.
job as well for about a year. That ran well. That was when I got into development because I'm an engineer and I worked as a finance person. This developer came out of me and he conquered, saying, "You know what? You enjoy development," and that's how. Also, when I started my startup, right, like any startup, I had some financial issues. I was not able to afford a developer to build my website, so I had to learn my entire coding myself. I started with Stack, as we call it. So JavaScript was where I started. From there, I built the entire website, and that ran for about 1 year. Of course, it failed eventually, but proudly, I would say. I gained a lot of knowledge during the process, and that I think cannot fail, and that's the reason why I'm here. Blockchain, how it happened in my life is, I would say, an accident, an embarrassment, or anything. So when I had my startup, which was nowhere related to blockchain or whatever, I heard there was a pitching session going on somewhere in Chennai, right? So I went there thinking I'll pitch my startup at that time and get some investor interest. And that event turned out to be an event which is focused on blockchain. So everyone was talking about blockchain and Bitcoin and decentralized networks and whatnots. In fact, I was not allowed to pitch there because my product was not technical enough. And that got me, that evening, I started understanding what is blockchain, got to understand what is Bitcoin, how things work, what were they talking about in the first place, right? So, for many of you here, it might sound like alien technology, but if you look behind the curtains, it's going to be a simple technology that you understand and that you're going to live with very soon, right? So that's how it started. And because this blockchain technology turned out to be an amalgamation of finance and technology, both of which I'm experienced in, let's say, I jumped into it. And from that time, I've been into blockchain. How I started this blockchain journey is by I learned something. I learned blockchain. So I went into corporates, I went into colleges, started training people on blockchain. So I was a blockchain trainer. I've trained about 3,000 odd people, both college students and professionals. While doing this, I got into multiple contacts, some of them alumni. So an opportunity knocked my door as a full-time blockchain developer. So I worked as a full-time blockchain developer in Bangalore in a company called Emergo. Yeah, I've been traveling to multiple places in the parts of India, training people on blockchain, college students. So yeah, those are good memories. From there, I saw an opportunity in the Web3 space, Web3 by meaning blockchain space. And that happens mostly in the Western world. So I wanted to grab this opportunity, and hence I applied for a PR, a permanent residency in Canada. Came here with family in the year 2020 when it was peak COVID, and quit my job in India. Thanks to blockchain, thanks to whatever knowledge I had gained till then, I was able to secure a job in Canada in just 1 month after arriving here. So that I'm thankful for to the technology itself, right? I've been working in that first firm for about 2 years. Recently, I quit and I joined another company. That's Pixel Vault. About 3 months it has been. We are into NFTs and metaverse and whatnots. I am a Solidity
You're doing
developer
all
here.
that cool stuff or all that buzzwords that we hear a lot about on the
Oh,
social
yeah.
media these days.
that's
Yeah,
that's good to know you're hearing about stuff. Thank you.
yeah. And Raghu, since like it's a very inspiring journey coming from a totally different background and now working as a developer and having your own team from training people, so it's a really great journey. And I think you're a perfect person to explain or to just tell us a little bit about what exactly this blockchain is all about, Web3. As I have been saying that I have been hearing a lot about these words on social media, and like instead of hearing them on the developer portals or everything, like we hear a lot on social media about these things. So please,
Yeah.
for the audience who don't have much idea about this, or for the students or the professionals who are just starting out with their journey in blockchain, can you please tell us
Mhm.
something about these words, blockchain, Web3, crypto, and everything? How is this connected?
Okay, thanks for asking. I was in India about few months back in the month of March. I met a few people who are youngsters, and many of them wanted to know NFTs and Bitcoin and things. They just knew it as an investment vehicle.
Right.
So they knew that if you invest some money, it might can multiply, but they did not understand that there's a beautiful technology behind it. So I'm sure people who are watching it can get some clarity based on my 2 cents I'm going to provide now. I'm going to give you my vision of what is blockchain and how I look at it. Being in this blockchain field for like 5 to 6 years now, I've seen some ups and downs. And blockchain is mostly about decentralization. It's a new era of technology that we are looking at. Just like we saw internet, just like we saw smartphones, just like we saw dot-com bubble and whatnot,
Right.
right? So we have come from Word documents, which you can only store on your computer, to Google Docs, which can be stored on the cloud, to many more things today, right? So
Right.
we share files through torrents, and we share our thoughts through Twitter. We share our profile pictures through Instagram and whatnot. So there's a lot of things happening in the world, which all comes down to data sharing, right? What blockchain enables is this data to be owned by the people. As in,
Mhm.
if I have a profile picture on Twitter, that's mine, and I own that picture. Do you own your
Mhm.
picture? It might be somewhere in Google Images, and you might have just downloaded it. But the picture I own, I can proudly say that I do it, right? I'll explain more about it when we get into the nuances of what is blockchain and how it has evolved. But this is the core of it. We started from computers. We went into the internet era. Everyone is using internet now. And then we wanted more decentralization. Like we wanted to integrate with other people. We wanted to collaborate with other people. Even if you look at the latest Apple keynote, they talk a lot about collaboration, sharing with people,
Right.
many people coming together, sharing thoughts on the same note and whatnots. That's how technology is evolving, right? From computers to cloud. And then comes blockchain, where you say you don't need to be in a particular geography in order to interact with the other person. Now we know that countries like China, you cannot use Instagram, you cannot use WhatsApp or Google or
Mhm.
whatnot. It's all completely banned by the government. Now
Right.
comes decentralization. One word, decentralization, means it erases geographical boundaries. It
Mhm.
erases many other boundaries that we know of in the traditional world. Now, a person I know is working from some part of the world. I don't know where. It could be Kenya, it could be Nigeria, it could be Usilampatti, it could be Chennai, it could be anywhere in the world, right? From there, he's earning US dollars for creating smart contracts, for working for a blockchain company. They're all remote jobs. If you ask me where I work for, I can say Pixel World, but what's the location? I stay in Canada now, and I'm from India, but I work for a company in the US, get paid in US dollars. That gets converted into Canadian dollars every month and gets paid to me. Not only me, the entire team force of Pixel World is from various countries. I get to talk to people from Indonesia, people from India, even. So I'm the only Indian in Pixel World, but still, yeah, many countries come together and work together. So we come into a decentralization world, even in the job sector and blockchain. So that's how I look at it. It's becoming more decentralized in nature. So let me articulate more about what we are entering into. You would have seen Twitter, you would have seen Instagram. Everyone owns an Instagram and a
Yeah.
Twitter account now. In Twitter, you might have seen this weird hexagon shaped profile pictures. Those are all your NFTs. These people have identified that they need a profile picture and they need to tell the world that they own that profile picture. So what they do, they set their own picture that they bought somewhere or they own that piece of thing on blockchain. They want to show that to the world and they have it on Twitter. Now, you know how big Twitter is, and Instagram is experimenting a similar feature very soon. So when this happens, millions of people are going to come into this platform, look at these hexagon shapes and think, what are those, right? Other thing is when you first opened your Gmail account, did you get your first name at gmail.com? No, I did not get it. Nobody, I think, would have got it, right?
No.
So we come into raghu.whatever at gmail.com or whatever. Now, a similar thing happens in the blockchain world as well. Everyone hears about metaverse, especially after Facebook changed the name. Now, to enter into metaverse, blockchain is a huge pillar supporting metaverse itself. Blockchain handles the transactions part of it. Blockchain handles the data part of it, the storage part of it. Metaverse has its own identity, like a .com, like a gmail.com. If someone wants to identify you in a public manner, if someone wants to send money to you, let's say, they need an address, right? And that address is .eth, just like we use .com here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 days back, I registered my son's first name .eth on the ENS platform. That's on the blockchain, which means he has got his identity, first name .eth, into the metaverse for the entire future. He owns it, and nobody can take it from him, right? And that's beautiful. I want to give that particular NFT to him on his 18th birthday and tell him, this is your identity, right? This kind of a beautiful thing is happening in the entire world. By the way, interestingly, I'm a huge fan of KGF. Chapter 1 came out in 2018, right? That's when I applied for Canada and I moved from Chennai to Canada as well. So, yeah, it's a story I can relate to. That's the reason I have tufan.eth in the blockchain. I named my son Yashwin, Yash from the actor, and Yashwin to make it sound better. So Yashwin.eth is his name. I've told that before. Do you know that you love KGF, but KGF has its own NFTs as well? South Indian movie, a blockbuster recently, Vikram, it has its own NFTs as well. So they're on the blockchain. You can buy Rocky's NFTs. There are 10,000 or something. I don't remember exactly.
Oh.
I own 28 of them. So I'm that big a fan. By owning them, I can tell to the actor, if I get to meet him tomorrow, that I'm a huge fan. I have tufan.eth. I have yashwin.eth. I've named my son after you, and I have 28 NFTs of yours, right? This is how communities are being formed today. Twitch, Discord. So there are communities with hundreds and thousands of people coming there, discussing about things and getting to know each other, in fact. It's a true multicultural environment, blockchain.
Yeah. So Raghu, from this point, our conversation, it can diverge into two directions. So you have explained in a very good words that what exactly this technology is all about. So let's assume that our audience know a little bit about this technology, but they are trying to make a career out of it, right? So I want to know, like, in the conventional software engineering teams, or like we have different roles, like front-end engineers working with the back-end engineers. We have data teams like data engineers, data scientists. We have business analysts working in a team. So in a scenario where blockchain developers are working, how does that team functions, and are there any other teams that you work closely with? So how does this thing works?
Okay, to answer this question, I need to first classify this blockchain field into two. The first one being public blockchains, the one I'm working in,
Okay.
NFTs and Bitcoin, and all of it fall into that category. And the other one becomes enterprise blockchains, where enterprises themselves, they create their own blockchain for use within their company internally, right? Or with their suppliers, vendors, and whatnot.
Okay.
I work in the public sector, so public blockchain field. So I'll talk about that more.
Hmm.
Here, most of the things are startups, and there are a lot of unicorns as well, born every day in blockchain. But if you look at the history, you know that the companies which have seen at least two, three bear markets, those are the ones which are well renowned today, right? As in Uniswap and Coinbase and Binance, and these are marquee names in this blockchain industry.
Right.
If you consider them tier A, then you can get into startups which are successful, funded,
Hmm.
like Pixel Vault. They recently got a huge funding, and invested startups and successful startups is where you can get into. Or if you're even more younger and you have a hot blood, then you can try getting into a startup which is very in its very early stages, or you can even be a co-founder of a $1 billion company in the future by joining it now, right? You get a lot of equity and shares and whatnot. So that's how I categorize these companies within the blockchain industry, just like
Hmm.
any other industry, right? It depends on you how you want to get into and what you want to become in the blockchain industry. For example, I
Okay.
knew that from my childhood, I loved playing games and I loved watching anime. I loved watching, let's say, Marvel and DC movies now. So I wanted to get into the metaverse where we talk about gaming and whatnot. And I got a lovely opportunity from Pixel World to do that. I'm into gaming, I'm into let's say NFTs, and the kind of discussions we have in the company is crazy. You should get to listen to that sometime. We talk about swords and upgradation of powers and whatnot. So this is what I wanted, and I got here through blockchain, right?
Okay.
In a similar manner, blockchain has paved way for multiple other people. There are artists working in my company, creating the art required to create the NFTs. There are marketers who understand Web3 and the communities behind it, who understand blockchain, and hence they can market it efficiently.
Hmm.
So there are a host of roles you can get into. But being a developer, you can the let's say the grail of blockchain development is Solidity. Solidity is used by Ethereum to create smart contracts, and that's what is the backbone of all the blockchains that you're looking at. So
Hmm.
these smart contracts need a developer to build it, and Solidity looks similar to JavaScript. Let's say the syntax is kind of similar. So if you know
Okay.
JavaScript, you can take a look at Solidity, see if you understand it, right? Get into Solidity, and then you can become a Solidity developer like myself. Huge demand, I would say. There are a lot of companies and a lot of startups looking for Solidity developers. If not, you can, if you're a front end developer already, you can understand blockchain, become a Web3 developer. The front end developers need to integrate, blockchain and the front end. Traditionally, what you do is you integrate the database and your front end through the back
Right.
end.
The APS.
Here, you
Yeah.
integrate the blockchain to the front end. A front
Hmm.
end developer who knows how to integrate the blockchain with the front end is in demand as well, right? So, DevOps engineers, let's say, blockchain security management, key management is key. And these DevOps engineers need to understand blockchain first and then get into DevOps. What can I do within blockchain on DevOps? So, whoever you are, whatever specialization you are into, blockchain has something for you.
That's so cool. I didn't know like these are connecting in this way. So Raghu, at one point of our conversation, you also mentioned that you moved from India to the North America region because has a lot to offer in terms of blockchain. And so, if I talk specifically about Canada, so what does this country has to offer to the blockchain developers? And since we are hearing a lot of buzz about this particular profile in these days. So do you think that this particular profile is saturated, or like where does it stand? So the industry is still looking for the blockchain developers. Is there any shortage? Are there a lot of people who are already applying in this field? Like what does this country has to offer to blockchain developers?
Okay. Wonderful question. So it made me think. Thank you. So looking at Canada as a country or a job market as a whole, right? I would not get into the discussion because once you are into blockchain, you become a
Mhm.
global citizen, as we call it.
Okay.
So you get to work for anyone from any part of the world. But
Mhm.
of course, being in Canada, being in the EST time zone has a lot of advantages. Many of the successful startups are from the US, and hence you get to work in their time zone. That is a factor which many of them kind of want due to reasons, right? So they need
Mhm.
people to be working from anywhere but together. So for more collaboration, they are looking for people working from the EST time zone. That might be an advantage, but on the blockchain side itself, you can get into any company, you can get into any role as you want, as I told before. One more thing I want to say about the Canadian job market or the blockchain industry as a whole is I was a recruiter before, as in I recruited people for my team in my previous organization. We took about 6 months to find a person who knows Solidity and understands blockchain. We were not able to
Mhm.
find one. And finally, it was a fellow Tamilian, fellow Indian who joined the team. And that's how difficult it is to find a Solidity developer in today's market.
Okay.
For one developer, there are 3 jobs available. And most of the time, you can see a lot of applicants to the roles. But I can tell you from the other side of the table that most of them do not understand blockchain. They think blockchain is
Mhm.
another database, or they have never worked on the mainnet, which means the production environment. You need to have
Yes.
some experience. That's when you can answer a few questions which only experienced people know about. So we can filter out people very easily, and there's a very minute amount of population that knows blockchain or even understand the word blockchain. Leave Solidity.
So this market has a lot to offer to the developers, and in fact, from your words, I can say that there's shortage of good developers in the market right now. And Raghu, also you mentioned that you while you were interviewing the candidates, you didn't. A lot of them were missing the basics, or they don't even know what exactly the blockchain is all about and everything. So if someone wants to
Yes.
enter into this industry, or at least if a developer want to familiarize themselves with this industry, so how they can start, how they can enter, what are the skills or the technologies that they need to learn, or what are the basics of this blockchain development?
Okay. The first thing that you need to do if you want to get into blockchain is to understand what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin, many people I know of think of it as an investment, it as a scam, it as being rugged or whatever, right? Anything, whatever they say. There's a technology behind Bitcoin which has made it so popular, right? Understand what it does. Why is it different from banks and traditional institutions and whatnots? Then you'll get to understand how it evolved over time into something called
Mhm.
Ethereum. Ethereum is like your uh, Google. Ethereum is like your Gmail, let's say. A Gmail
Mhm.
is an application built on top of the internet, right? Similarly, blockchain is the internet, and there are applications being built on top of it. Ethereum is the one that aids this development of applications on top of blockchain, right? These applications, we call them as decentralized applications, or in short, dApps, right? So these decentralized applications are built using Ethereum on the public front. If you want to get into the enterprise world of it, let's say Disney is there on the NFTs world now, Netflix
Mhm.
is on NFTs, Twitter, Instagram, we spoke about it. They're all into NFTs now. If you want to get into enterprise blockchains like that, then you want to get into Python, Java, JavaScript, anything. Hyperledger Fabric is the one used in the enterprise blockchain world, and it supports any, or let's say a diverse programming language list, let's say JavaScript, Java, Python, whatever you know, you can code blockchains with it. And
Mhm.
that's something beautiful, right? You can start doing it tonight. Oh, yeah. So, to again give a brief about it, it's the blockchain basics, very important. Then get into Bitcoin, then get into Ethereum, learn how to code smart contracts, learn how to code Web3. Web3 is the integration layer we spoke about. And then
Okay.
get into NFTs and what kind of dApps are being built. it'll open a new world for you for sure.
And is there any particular tech stack that you would recommend to the audience?
The tech stack mostly used within this blockchain industry is Solidity, of course, for the smart contract part. And then we have the front end layer, which is usually coded in React. And if you want server side rendering and SEO capabilities, you will do it with Next.js. Of course, JavaScript frameworks, right? Plus, a backend might or might not be required. I know a lot of dApps which only run with smart contracts and the front end. A backend and a database might be optional, right? The backend can be anything. It can be Django, it can be Node.js. The database can be anything. SQL, NoSQL, doesn't matter, right? The front end can be anything as well. You can just build it with vanilla HTML and JavaScript. But most of the companies now use React as the front end because of capabilities, right? So yeah, that's how the tech stack is usually formed now. On the other hand, there are other blockchains like Solana, Cardano. They use Haskell and functional programming languages to do it. If you know Haskell or if you're a fan of Rust, you have a huge opportunity waiting in Solana and Cardano.
So at one point of time, you mentioned that the candidates, they're lacking the skills and they need to have some experience in this industry. So when you said from a recruiter's perspective, when you said that the candidates, they need to have experience, were you referring to the professional experience or were you referring to the experience on the personal projects? Because for someone who is just starting out, it's very hard for them to enter into the industry, right? And the companies, every company is expecting candidates to have experience. So how can a candidate who's just starting out can have experience? How can we fill up that gap?
Okay, I want to make a statement here. I'll tell you. Gone are the days, okay, when you say to the recruiter, please believe me, I'll do the job. That was what we were saying to them. Now the world has turned upside down. Now people are coming to the recruiters telling them, I have done this in my life. This will be useful to your company. Give me that job. By experience, I mean, you need to know what you're talking about. If a college student says, I have never worked in production environments before, that's completely acceptable. For them, we look for trainability, let's call. Are they interested in the project? Are they passionate about what they are doing? Do they understand what they are into, right? So if we find it there, we can bring them in. Orientation is like 1 week process for us. We can teach them stuff, but interest is something that need to come with. Similarly, a professional with 2-3 years of experience who has not built anything, let's say he has not built any smart contract, even on the testnet, he does not have an updated GitHub. He does not follow the trends. He does not know that picture of a penguin was sold for 600,000 US dollars this week, right? You should check that news. That's crazy. Twitter is crazy about it. Anyway, you need to be on top of these things. And this is what we call as experience. If you want to get into NFTs, have you ever bought at least one NFT in your life? Simple, right? NFTs are available for 10 cents. You need to get into the action. You might lose money, but you get knowledge. Right? So that kind of experience is what we are looking for. Previously, in the prior generation, let's say, people would look for, okay, do you have 5 years of experience? Then I'll give you a job as a tech lead or whatever. I'll tell you an interesting fact. I've trained a lot of people. One of my students, Ram Kiran, he is a team lead at Polygon now. Polygon is a huge organization in blockchain. He's a team lead. My profile reads Solidity developer, and that doesn't matter in today's world. That's how we are progressing, right? You need to get into that as well. Now, when you look for experience, and if you're searching for a job in the traditional sense, going to Naukri, applying for a job, going to LinkedIn jobs and applying for things, that's not going to work. You may get a job, you may not enjoy the process. During the interview process, it has changed completely. Currently, people are getting jobs in hackathons. You need to join them, form a team, build something within 3 days, no sleep, no water, nothing maybe. And then you get a prize at the end of the day. You make money, you get a job, you get projects, you may become a co-founder of a project. Go into hackathons, whatever it is. Even if you're bad at programming, you'll learn something, right? Get into their respective communities. If you're a gamer, you can get into Twitch. You have to be very active on Twitch for people to know you. And hence, opportunities will open your door. And then you also have Twitter. Twitter is where crypto is, and Discord. So these kind of communities is where you need to focus be where you want to be, and then somehow you'll find a way. That's how I tell people, and
Yeah.
it has worked for me. Hopefully it'll work for you.
So basically, it's all about getting yourself aware about what's happening in the industry, right? Keeping you updated with everything that's happening around so that you can catch up on the technologies and whatever is happening in the company you're applying to.
That's right. I'll tell you how I got my job in Pixel. I
Mhm.
built an entire NFT marketplace, like OpenSea, like whatever, where you can buy and sell your NFTs. And I deployed it to the mainnet. I told them, I showed them the code, told them, I've built this. You might be interested in this kind of a marketplace. This could help Pixel World. And they hired me the next day. I came in, and that product is kind of being built in
Good.
Pixel World. A lot of
That's so cool.
modifications, but that's how I got my job.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
need to
that's
do
good.
that. If someone tells me that last week I read that JavaScript has this modification, and then I have tried it out, it's on my GitHub, that person is sure hire for sure immediately, right?
That's so
So
cool, right?
that's the kind of excitement you need to show to the recruiter in today's world.
Yeah, got it. So, Raghu, thanks a lot for your time. We have reached the end of our conversation, and I really feel that we have just touched the surface of a lot of things, and I really want to do a second part, but I leave that to our audience. So, in case our audience they want us to talk more about this, if they have any specific questions, they can leave it in the comment section below, and we will definitely do the second part. So, thanks a
For
lot for your
sure.
time. It was really a great conversation. So I have personally learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure that our audience will also enjoy this conversation and learn a lot from this. Thanks a lot for your time again.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Sahil. Yeah, thanks for taking this interview in such a smooth manner. And I love talking about blockchain, and I like talking to youngsters as well. So thanks a lot.
Thank
You
you.
have my support always. I'd love to be here. Nandri.
Thank you.